So these are some of Joe's attributes: creativity, curiosity, discernment, wit, joie de vivre. And I'd like to say a little bit about each of those characteristics. So, first of all, his creativity. He got incredible recognition for his work, as we have all heard at this meeting. I think one of the ones that he was really proudest of was his being elected as a foreign member to the Royal Society of London and an honorary professor of mathematical sciences at the University of Cambridge. He was very proud of those honors. And this is the U.S. National Academy of Science, which he got from President Ronald Reagan. And John Maddox at dinner last night talked about the Woods Hole emergency of having to get Joe fitted to a suit because he didn't own a suit before it was known that he was going to get this. So forever after this award, this was known in our house as the Reagan suit. So we judged the formality of an occasion for whether the Reagan suit was needed or not. For very formal weddings, etc. it was. Otherwise, Joe was in his classic uniform, which is jeans. Right. And this has Luis Bonilla. This is some of his many, many awards. This is actually one from the Universidad Carlos III in Madrid, where he got an honorary degree. And he had many, many prizes. This is another honorary degree at Northwestern University from his former student, Bernie Makowski. He actually had honorary doctorates at 8 universities and numerous awards. So as we've heard at this meeting, his creativity was very well appreciated. His curiosity is legend. These are just some of the few questions that he asked. What are the mechanisms behind the motion of waves, the lung cancer in smokers, skin tumors in mice, breathing attacks in asthmatics, vision in kittens, running in athletes, crawling in worms, genetics in families, hearing in humans, leukemia in children, as we've heard from Professor Focus, dribbling in teapots, and swinging of joggers' ponytails. And that's just a partial list. It was really universal. And his discernment. He was interviewed by a reporter from the American Mathematical Society that asked him this question: how do you choose the problems to attack? And so he thought about that for a while, and he said a good problem needs these features. It needs to have a quantitative aspect, shouldn't be too easy or too hard, like Goldilocks's chair, and the underlying mechanism should be available. The solution, if it exists, has to be enlightening and important. So these were the rules the ad hoc rules that he came up with for the selection of problems. But I think he really attacked a universal, so whatever titillated his curiosity. And his wit. Okay, so I don't need to tell you guys about inverse problems. I can just an example of a standard problem, and this is the inverse problem, but you guys know all of that. So anyway, when I first met Joe, this is one of the inverse problems that I heard from him, and I was totally sold. What is the question whose answer is Dr. Livingston, I presume? So he taught me that there might be many correct responses, but the correct response, the optimal response, was unique. So of course, when he presented me with this inverse problem, my immediate reaction was, what did Stanley say to Livingston when they met at the source of the Nile? Well, that's a correct response, but it's not the optimal one. And the optimal one is, what is the question whose answer is Dr. Livingston, I presume, and what is your full name, Dr. Presume? I was totally charmed by that, and it still tickles me. Some people thought these were corny, but I was delighted. And his joie de vivre, the things he loved. Well, first of all, it was people, as everybody in the room who knew him. So he loved people and just delighted in their company. In fact, he was an extrovert, extreme. I was an introvert. I'm an introvert. And my idea of going to a cocktail party was showing up for 10 or 15 minutes and then getting out of there. Joe was always the first to arrive and the last to leave, invariably. So, at any rate, he loved people. He loved hiking. This is a picture from our hikes in France. We hiked for 1 month every year in the month of September, and largely in France. And skiing, you've already heard from John about the people we met and the fun we had skiing. He loved competitive sports. Here he is pitching horseshoes. It's very popular in the U.S. against a stake, and who can get closest to the stake. I don't know when this picture was taken, but I do know that when we hiked in France, whenever we came to a village where boules was being played, I think it's called bocce ball in Italy, at any rate, we had to stop for half an hour or 45 minutes and watch the game and see who won the game, which was a chance to rest, at any rate. So he loved competitive sports. And in fact, this photograph was taken at Woods Hole. The Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute had intramural softball, and all the different divisions played against each other, and the Geophysical Fluid Dynamics program was one of the divisions that played all summer long. And the mark of distinction of the GFD softball team was it also always accrued the most number of defeats in the summer. And the reason for that was that the other divisions all had U.S.-born team members who were playing baseball, or they were playing the sport since they could walk. They were playing it all the time. And the GFD program had many of you guys there, some of whom had never played the sport ever before. So you got good by August, by late August, and you started winning a few, but by then the record was lost. So at any rate, he loved sports. And of course, I don't have to tell you, he loved interesting mathematical problems. We've heard about that at this whole meeting. And he loved explaining things. I mean, that was his great sport. And you've already seen this picture twice already. I don't know when it was taken. I think he looks like Rasputin. But he has a whimsical sense of humor, an impish sense of humor there. He's about to tell one of his scatological limericks, I suspect. But at any rate, or some other funny thing. But anyway, he loved explaining things. He loved reading, was always reading. He loved caves. This is a picture of a cave in France with him. He was in seventh heaven at any cave. And, oh, he loved Chinese food. This is a picture of us in Shanghai. He was in seventh heaven with the cuisine. We were there for a month, the month of August in 1981. And one of the highlights of our trip, we were escorted by escorts the whole way, was a trip down the River Lee near Guilin to see the beautiful mountains. And this was a special boat with many, many people on it, with a special hot lunch, very huge, sumptuous hot lunch, cooked in the back of the boat. And the guys were very frustrated because they couldn't get Joe to look at the beautiful mountains. Joe was fascinated watching the cooks deal with the huge pots of food on the back of the boat, and you could not get him away from that. So I'm not surprised when we heard about the rat's brain being sliced at Woods Hole. He was fascinated by anything that was done by an expert that was done professionally and well. He used to love to watch fish being scaled, beheaded, and filleted. I mean, that was his great love. So I want to end up by thanking Hillary and John Octon, Nigel Peake, and David Abrams for a wonderful organizing meeting, and for thanking all of the speakers and attendees at this lecture. This photo was taken on a stiff hike up to a local maximum in the Dolomites, and Joe is taking a break. So, thank you very much. I don't think questions are needed. I don't think questions are needed. Right.
We're going to have tea in a minute. I think you ought to be available, Alice, to tell one or two of the limericks. And could we do end with final thanks? Although Hillary and I have been named as organisers, the hard work was done by David and Nigel. Could we give them a special vote?